Hello, esteemed gentlemen. The most powerful man is the one you never see coming. That's not just a quote. It's a warning. Because while the world argues over who's alpha, who's beta, and who's pretending not to care, the Sigma male is quietly mastering the rules they never bothered to read. And when he moves, entire systems tilt without anyone knowing who pulled the string. Here's a little fact to chew on. Over 90% of influence in power dynamics comes from perception, not action. Most people are busy looking powerful. Sigma males? They're too busy becoming ungovernable. While everyone's fighting for a crown in the open, Sigmas are building empires in silence, armed with one of the most dangerous manuals ever written, Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. But here's the twist. They don't follow it. They interpret it. And then they weaponize it with a style so subtle it makes James Bond look like a noisy intern. So buckle up. Because what you're about to see isn't another recycled list of overused quotes or cliché Sigma tropes. This is how Sigma males really use the 48 Laws of Power. Raw, unfiltered, and sharper than ever. And if you're not ready to question everything you thought you knew about power, you might want to click away now. Too late, you're already hooked. Number 1. They don't destroy enemies, they disarm them with silence. Sigma males don't destroy their enemies, they disarm them with silence. While most people are busy reacting, explaining, or trying to prove a point, the Sigma male operates on a different frequency. He doesn't feed conflict with emotion, he studies it. He lets other people burn out trying to win, while he watches from a higher altitude. When someone attacks a Sigma, they expect a reaction, an argument, a defense. But what they get is stillness. And that stillness is unnerving, because in a world where people are addicted to drama, ego, and noise, silence becomes power. It's not weakness, it's calculation. And this is where things get interesting. The moment you refuse to engage, you control the tempo, you control the tone, you turn the aggressor's energy back on them. Most people confuse domination with loudness. More force, more volume, more emotion. But Sigma males know that the real damage isn't done through destruction. It's done when you rob someone of the one thing they need to stay dangerous, your attention. You can't fight someone who refuses to step in the ring. You can't win a war against a ghost. The Sigma doesn't swing back. He disappears and lets your own paranoia chew you up from the inside. It's not about forgiveness. It's about focus. Sigma males don't crush enemies because enemies aren't even worth the energy. The real punishment is being ignored by someone who could have crushed you but chose not to because you're that irrelevant to his mission. That's a different kind of psychological power. And when the time is right, when it really matters, he doesn't show up with emotion. He shows up with strategy. No warning, no noise, just precision. That's what terrifies people. Because when someone never reacts, you never know what they're truly capable of. And when you finally find out, it's already too late. That's not mercy, that's mastery. Number 2, power isn't displayed, it's implied. Power isn't loud, it doesn't wear flashy suits or shout across rooms. Real power is quiet, controlled, and often misunderstood. That's the Sigma male's arena. While most people are busy trying to be noticed, trying to prove how important they are, the Sigma does the opposite. He moves in silence, speaks with purpose, and never explains more than necessary. Because when you are power, you don't have to prove it. Sigma males don't care about applause. They don't post every win. They don't drop their achievements into conversations hoping to impress someone. In fact, most people won't even realize how much they've done until they see the results. And by then, the gap is too wide to catch up. That's not arrogance. That's efficiency. While others are burning energy trying to be recognized, the Sigma is too busy building leverage that speaks for itself. His presence does more than words ever could. It's in the way he walks into a room and doesn't need to dominate it, yet everyone feels the shift. It's in how he listens more than he talks, and still somehow ends up controlling the entire vibe. That's because true dominance isn't in how much space you take up, but in how much silence you own without discomfort. Law 1 says, never outshine the master. Sigma doesn't just follow it, he rewrites it. He doesn't care about outshining anyone, he's not in their game. He shines in private, masters himself in silence, and lets people wonder how someone so detached can still have so much control. Here's the twist. When you don't try to be powerful, but you naturally exude control, people obsess over you. They study you, envy you, fear you, because you're not performing, you're just being. And in today's world of constant noise and fake confidence, being is the most intimidating thing you can do. Sigma doesn't need to show power. He is the reminder that it exists in forms people can't always recognize, but never forget. Number 3. They build their power base on self-denial, not indulgence. Sigma males don't chase luxury. They outgrow the need for it. In a world obsessed with showing off what you've got, they move in the opposite direction. While everyone's flexing cars, clothes, and clout, the Sigma flexes discipline. He doesn't measure his worth by what he owns, but by what he can walk away from without blinking. That's power most people can't understand, let alone handle. Law 40 says despise the free lunch, but the Sigma takes it further. He doesn't just reject handouts, he rejects dependence. Free things come with invisible strings, and he's not in the business of being owned, manipulated, or distracted. If it's not earned, it's not respected. If it comes too easy, he questions the trap behind it. Because he knows, the second you start indulging in comfort without cost, you start giving away control. Everyone wants freedom, but they're addicted to comfort. Sigma males don't fall for that lie. They build their power on self-denial. They say no when others say yes. They stay in when others go out. They suffer through boredom, rejection, and isolation because they know the real edge isn't built through pleasure. It's built through control. Not control over others, control over themselves. There's something intimidating about a man who doesn't need anything from anyone. A man who isn't swayed by praise, doesn't need validation, and can walk away from anything or anyone, no matter how tempting. That's what makes the Sigma untouchable. You can't manipulate someone who wants less than you think he should. You can't trap someone who isn't desperate for the bait. So while others are showing off what they've acquired, the Sigma is sharpening what he can endure. While others are making noise to look powerful, he's silent, because true freedom is quiet. And when you've trained yourself to need nothing, you own everything they're still trying to chase. That's not just self-control, that's a power most people aren't built to carry. Number 4. They use the 48 laws not to dominate, but to disappear from the game entirely. Sigma males don't use the 48 laws of power to climb the ladder. They use them to burn the ladder down and build their own door. They're not obsessed with beating the game. They're obsessed with making the game irrelevant. While everyone else is scrambling to outplay, outsmart, and outshine each other, the Sigma's already somewhere else, quietly creating a reality where those rules don't even apply anymore. They don't seek to dominate people. They don't need to. Domination means you're still tied to control, still reacting to others, still trapped in the loop. The Sigma isn't playing better. He's not playing at all. That's what makes him untouchable. He studies the laws like a surgeon, not a conqueror. Not to enslave others, but to become immune to manipulation, flattery, and control. He learns every rule, not to enforce it, but to know where to vanish. He knows how people crave attention, how they're addicted to validation, how they sabotage themselves trying to be seen. And while they perform, he observes. While they compete, he evolves. He's not the chess player. He's the one who walked away from the board and built a private empire no one can interfere with. That's the ultimate Sigma move. To make yourself so useful, so scarce, and so independent that people start adjusting their strategies around you without you even trying. And it drives them crazy. Because you're not fighting for status, but somehow you have it. You're not chasing approval, but everyone wants yours. You don't even ask for power, yet somehow it keeps finding you. The Sigma rewrites Law 48 completely. Assume formlessness becomes something deeper. Be so ungovernable you can access power without needing to hold it. Because true power isn't about dominating others. It's about being so far removed from the game that the players start wondering if you were the architect all along. Number 5. They don't network. They infiltrate ecosystems silently. Sigma males don't walk around collecting business cards or forcing fake conversations at networking events. They don't sell themselves, pitch themselves, or perform. They infiltrate, silently, strategically. And by the time anyone realizes their presence, they're already indispensable. While most people try to fit in, blend in, or be liked, the Sigma focuses on one thing: relevance. He doesn't care about social games or alliances based on status. He doesn't try to impress. He simply makes himself useful in ways no one else can replicate. His presence solves problems. His perspective shifts the energy. His ideas cut through noise. And because of that, people start pulling him in, not out of charity, but out of need. Law 18 warns against isolation. Most mistake the Sigma's independence for being cut off. But the truth is, he's not isolated. He's selective. There's a difference between being lonely and being deliberate. The Sigma doesn't shut himself off from the world. He watches it, analyzes it, and steps in only when the environment has something worth offering, or when he has something worth disrupting. He doesn't build connections the way others do. He becomes the rare element that networks seek out when the usual players fall short. And here's the magic. Because he didn't ask to be there, because he didn't beg for a seat, his presence carries weight. He's not part of the circle. He's the anomaly inside it. Rooms don't even know they need a Sigma until he walks in and makes them realize what they were missing. That's not charisma. It's calibrated detachment. He has no desire to dominate the room, and yet the room leans in. Why? Because in a world full of loud performers and desperate connectors, stillness stands out. Relevance isn't spoken. It's felt. The Sigma doesn't build networks. He becomes the gravity that holds them together. And that's not networking. That's infiltration with purpose. Number 6, they seduce power itself, not people. Sigma males aren't here to win people over. They're here to get closer to what really matters: leverage. They don't chase popularity, admiration, or attention. They don't flatter to climb ranks or charm their way through social ladders. Their version of charisma is different, controlled, intentional, and weaponized. It's never about being liked. It's about being undeniable. While others perform charm like a dance, the Sigma treats it like a scalpel. Precise, calculated. He knows exactly when to speak, how much to reveal, and what kind of energy to project to trigger curiosity, respect, and sometimes fear. He doesn't flirt with people. He flirts with power. And the difference is massive. Most people use charm to be accepted. The Sigma uses it to position himself. He studies who holds the keys, who's really in control, and then slowly makes himself a presence they can't ignore. Not because he's loud, but because his value is rare, and his demeanor never hints at neediness. In fact, the less he shows interest, the more powerful people tend to pull him closer, just to figure him out. Law 8 says, make others come to you, and the Sigma masters this without even trying, because he understands the psychology of distance. He knows when you don't chase, when you seem self-contained, when you don't need, people naturally lean in, not out of pity, but out of curiosity and respect. He becomes magnetic because he isn't trying to be. And here's the twist. The Sigma doesn't even care about the throne. That's what drives others crazy. He's not seducing power for control. He seduces it for access. He doesn't want to rule over anyone. He just wants to be in a position where no one can rule over him. That's the kind of energy that makes gatekeepers open doors without being asked. That's how you become the quiet threat in every room, the one who didn't beg, didn't shout, didn't charm the crowd, yet somehow ended up holding the leverage everyone else thought they were chasing. That's Sigma power, subtle, surgical, and always one move ahead. Number 7, they study power like a language, not a weapon. Sigma males treat power like a language, something to be read, decoded, and understood, not something to swing around like a hammer. While the average person is obsessed with winning, dominating, or being seen as the alpha, the Sigma is quietly in the corner, watching the entire room, translating every move like it's encrypted code. He doesn't react emotionally. He studies patterns. He sees through fake confidence, forced charm, and insecure flexing like it's all written in subtitles. Every gesture, every word, every silence, he's reading it all. Not to manipulate, not to control, but to protect his space. His goal isn't to conquer others. His goal is to stay unexposed, untouchable, and 2 steps ahead of anyone who might pose a threat. Law 33 says to discover each man's thumbscrew, his weakness, his pressure point. Most people would use that to exploit others, twist arms, or gain short-term power. But the Sigma, he uses that knowledge like a shield, not to attack, but to never be cornered. He knows your game before you even know you're playing it. That's what makes him dangerous. He doesn't need to fight. He just positions himself in a way where the fight never touches him. While others are busy trying to rise up by tearing others down, the Sigma is scanning the map. He sees who's insecure, who's desperate, who's hiding behind noise, and he makes mental notes, not out of judgment, but out of strategy. Because to him, power isn't about control. It's about clarity. If you can see the game clearly, you don't have to dominate it. You just have to avoid getting caught in the traps. He's fluent in human behavior. He knows when someone's smiling out of fear, when someone's confident because they have nothing to prove, and when someone's posturing because they're secretly terrified. That's his edge. The Sigma's not hunting for power like everyone else. He's decoding it. And that's why he never has to beg for it. Because he understands how it moves before anyone else even realizes it's in the room. Number 8, they don't lead with charisma. They lead with absence of desperation. Sigma males don't lead with flashy charisma or aggressive confidence. They lead with something far more powerful, absence of desperation. They don't need to impress. They don't need validation. They don't chase approval. In a world where most people are craving attention, chasing recognition, and screaming for reassurance, the Sigma walks through the door with nothing to prove. That's where the power lies. Because here's the truth, desperate energy is contagious. When someone is desperate for something, everyone can feel it. People can sense when someone is trying too hard. It makes them uneasy. And that's where the Sigma male flips the script. He doesn't need anything from anyone. He's not hungry for attention or approval. And because of that, his presence is magnetic. It's heavy, not because it demands attention, but because it doesn't care if it gets it. That kind of detachment is rare, and it's intoxicating. Law 27 says, play on people's need to believe. And the Sigma doesn't just play on it. He lets others do the work for him. He allows people to project their beliefs, their hopes, their desires onto him. He doesn't have to sell himself. He doesn't have to promise anything. He simply exists, and people are drawn to him, drawn into their own projections. He becomes a mirror for what they need him to be without ever becoming attached to their expectations. What makes the Sigma male so compelling isn't that he convinces others of his greatness. It's that he never tries to convince anyone at all. People believe in him because they want to. They don't need him to be anything specific. He's a canvas for their aspirations. He can be the leader, the genius, the mystery, whatever they need him to be, without ever claiming the title. That's how Sigma males stay untouchable. They don't chase followers. They don't beg for loyalty. They let others choose to believe, to trust, to invest. And while everyone else is scrambling to fill that void of validation, the Sigma stays untouched, unbothered, and unshakable. Because he doesn't need any of it to feel powerful. His power is in his detachment. And that, more than anything, makes his presence unforgettable. Number 9. They disappear after impact, not for attention, but for control. Sigma males don't need to stick around for the applause. Their power isn't in how long they stay, it's in how profoundly they leave their mark. They strike like a sniper. One precise shot, and then they vanish. The moment after their impact is louder than the impact itself. The room is still buzzing long after they've gone, trying to figure out what just happened. And that's exactly how they want it. Law 29 says plan all the way to the end. And the Sigma doesn't just plan for victory. He plans for his exit. Every move, every word, every interaction is calculated with one thing in mind, the moment he disappears. The impact isn't in the presence, but in the absence that follows. By the time everyone notices he's gone, it's too late. The game has already shifted. The pieces have already moved. It's not about being elusive for the sake of being mysterious. It's about control. The Sigma understands that the most powerful move is the one no one sees coming. And when the dust settles, the question isn't, what did he do? But how did he make it happen without leaving a trace? His exit is the final stroke in the masterpiece. The closing scene in a film that leaves the audience still processing long after the credits roll. While others make noise, talk big, and revel in their moments of success, The Sigma's impact is quiet, and that's what makes it devastating. He doesn't need to bask in the aftermath of his moves. He's already 10 steps ahead, and his power isn't in what he does during the game. It's in how he controls the narrative once he's out of it. In a world that craves validation, the Sigma disappears after leaving a mark so sharp, so exact, that it echoes through the silence. The room will keep talking about him even after he's gone, because in the end he's never really gone. His absence is what keeps the game spinning. Number 10. They don't build kingdoms, they create leverage. Sigma males aren't interested in ruling kingdoms. They don't need subjects, titles, or power over others. Instead, they build something far more formidable: leverage. They understand that true power isn't in having people under your control. It's in making sure that everyone, from the lowest pawns to the highest kings, needs you, whether they want to or not. What sets the Sigma apart is that he doesn't chase influence in the traditional sense. He doesn't manipulate, threaten, or flatter his way to the top. Instead, he creates such rare, irreplaceable value that people, regardless of their position, depend on him. And the beauty of this strategy is that it's not obvious. It's quiet. It's subtle. The Sigma's influence isn't something you can see coming, but once you feel it, it's impossible to ignore. Law 11 teaches to learn to keep people dependent on you, but the Sigma takes this law to another level. He doesn't build dependency through force or fear. He builds it through strategic scarcity. He understands that people are driven by need, and if he can make himself indispensable, others will always seek him out, and they'll do so willingly. He doesn't ask for anything in return. He just creates a situation where others have no choice but to come to him, quietly acknowledging that he holds a key they can't afford to lose. But it's not just about creating value. It's about creating the right kind of value. The kind that cannot be replicated. The kind that people are afraid of losing because they don't know how they'd survive without it. Whether it's knowledge, skills, connections, or insight, the Sigma offers something unique, something powerful, and he holds on to it without flaunting it. In doing this, he doesn't need to dominate anyone. He doesn't need to give speeches, sit on thrones, or parade his power. He's a quiet force, a presence so rare that people around him, even the most powerful, can't help but depend on his silence. Because in a world of noise and constant motion, silence is a tool that holds more weight than anything else. And the Sigma knows this all too well. Number 11. They don't argue. They allow fools to reveal themselves. Sigma males don't waste energy in arguments. They don't need to prove their point because they understand that most debates are driven by ego, not logic. When others engage in verbal sparring, the Sigma steps back and watches. He doesn't jump in. He doesn't get caught in the trap of defending himself or trying to convince anyone of anything. Instead, he lets the fools expose themselves through their words and actions. By staying quiet, the Sigma allows others to exhaust themselves, to dig deeper into their own emotional investments, and to reveal their true intentions. In the heat of the debate, people often expose more than they realize, insecurities, weaknesses, or blind spots. The Sigma sees this. He studies it, taking note of where they falter, where they need to win, and where they're vulnerable. In the world of noise, he's the observer who knows how to let people dig their own graves without lifting a finger. Law 9, win through actions, never through argument, isn't just a tactic for the Sigma. It's a philosophy. He knows that arguments are distractions. They're about talk. Power, on the other hand, is about what you do. The Sigma doesn't need to convince anyone with words. He lets his actions speak for him. When the time comes to act, he does so with surgical precision, using everything he's learned during the debate to dismantle the situation in one decisive move. It's not that the Sigma is afraid of confrontation, far from it. It's that he understands that real power isn't in the back and forth. It's in the quiet control, the ability to choose when and how to act, leaving no room for doubt. By not arguing, he not only preserves his energy, but he also retains control of the narrative. In the end, he wins. Not by out-talking anyone, but by acting with precision and foresight when it matters most. His silence is often the deadliest weapon in the room. Number 12. They create myths around their routines by keeping them inaccessible. Sigma males understand one fundamental truth: mystery is power. They don't need to flaunt their routines or make their lives an open book. In fact, the less people know about how they operate, the more their lifestyle seems like an untouchable legend. It's the deliberate absence of details that builds the myth. People can't help but wonder how they manage it all, what drives them, or how they stay so composed. And in this haze of curiosity, the Sigma gains power. Law 6, court attention at all costs, and Law 24, play the perfect courtier, blend seamlessly into this strategy. The Sigma doesn't court attention by making noise or putting his life on display. Instead, he commands attention by revealing nothing real. He allows others to fill in the gaps with their own assumptions, turning his life into a puzzle they can never quite solve. The more elusive he becomes, the more people feel they must figure him out. By maintaining this strategic silence about his routine, the Sigma doesn't just become elusive, he becomes a figure of fascination. People aren't just intrigued by him, they're captivated by the idea of him. The less they know, the more they mythologize. This creates a powerful dynamic where his lifestyle feels untouchable, aspirational, and almost unreachable. And in that very myth, he holds the upper hand. He doesn't need to explain, perform, or defend his choices. His mere absence becomes the magnet. In a world full of oversharing and constant transparency, the Sigma operates in the opposite direction. His silence becomes his strategy. His routines are locked behind a carefully constructed veil, and as a result, the myths surrounding him only serve to make him more powerful. In a world obsessed with noise, dominance, and constant validation, the Sigma male stands as a quiet testament to a different kind of power. His influence isn't built on flashy displays or a constant need to be seen. It's crafted through precision, detachment, and the ability to make the right move at exactly the right time. While others scramble for attention, he's out there, observing, analyzing, and building something far more valuable: freedom. Sigma power isn't about bending others to your will. It's about becoming so indispensable, so untouchable, that the world naturally revolves around you. They don't need to understand you. They just need you. And when you've mastered the art of silence, detachment, and timing, the world will always come to you. Not because you chased it, but because you've positioned yourself in a way that they can't afford not to. The Sigma doesn't argue. He doesn't need to. He doesn't manipulate. He doesn't need to. His power is in his ability to disappear from the game entirely, while remaining at the center of it all. The game doesn't control him, it adapts to him. And in this subtle, silent dance, he finds true control. So remember this: power isn't about being loud, it's not about being seen. True power is about being felt, and when you master the art of true detachment, when you become so rare, so valuable, that your presence alone shifts the dynamics of everything around you, you don't need to chase anything. Power comes to you, quietly, naturally, in the spaces you've carved for yourself. And when they realize they've been orbiting you all along, you won't have to say a word. You'll simply smile and disappear once again. If you found this breakdown of Sigma male power intriguing and eye-opening, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more content like this. Like, comment, and share if you know someone who needs to understand the power of silence, precision, and strategy. Let's keep the conversation going. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think and how you apply these principles in your own life. Remember, this isn't about following trends. It's about mastering the game without ever playing by its rules. Stay sharp, stay strategic, and I'll see you in the next one.